Hey everybody. Okay, so for tonight's homework, we're looking at only one-step inequalities. So the first one we did in class together, but I'm going to go ahead and show that one more time. So I'm going to just box in my one variable because that's the one I need to keep on one side. I can draw a line. Everything else is going to go to the other. I have a plus 7, so I'm going to put a minus 7 and bring a minus 7 over. This leaves me with just b is greater than or equal to, and then I add the negative 18 and my negative 7, which I get a negative 25. I'm looking at the equal sign, right? So I'm going to go to the negative 25. That's going to be a closed circle because it's going to include that point. This is where it's going to, whatever b is. So b can be negative 25 to have that equal, but it needs to be greater. So I am going to the right because all those numbers need to be larger than negative 25. You can place those numbers in B to prove and to make sure that it's the correct one. So you can put in negative 18, and yes, we know that's larger than or greater than negative 25. You can even put in 0 or 1. Even though you don't see it on the number line, you know that it's going to be on that side. Let's go to this next one. M minus 36 is greater than negative 21. Again, I'm going to put a box around my variable, draw my line. I know that whatever is left, I need to bring over to the other side. So I have a negative or minus 36. I'm going to add a 36 to it so that it zeroes itself out. Bring in my 36. And so now I have negative 21 plus a 36. 36 is my greatest number. And so that power takes over on that. So then I'm left with M is greater than, and then what do I have here? Okay, that's right. I am left with a positive 15. So is it going to be a closed or open 15? It's going to be open because it's only going to be larger than. So this is an open circle and it is going to the right because all my numbers need to be greater than 15. And again, I can place in 16 in the replace of m because m can equal 16, and that makes it a true statement that 16 is greater than 15, or even 15 and a half, or 15 and 3/4, or 15.25. So all of that works out. Let's go to this one right here. This I have p over 11 is less than or equal to negative 3. Because this is a division, I know that because all my fractions, it's not only a fraction bar, but it's a division bar. I'm going to do the opposite, and that's multiply. I will take the reciprocal because it will be then 11 over 1. Now, I can cross multiply, and then 11 can cancel itself out. But I'm going to do the standard because when we get into ratios, this is what you're going to end up doing anyway. So here I have 11. This is going to be 11p over 11. And this is how I get my 11s to cancel out. It's going to be less than or equal to, this is negative 3. Because I multiplied, I'm going to multiply here. Now I'm left with p is less than or equal to negative 33. Looking at my number line, is it going to be an open or closed circle? Very good. It's going to be closed because I have an equal sign, so I'm including my 33. So then it's negative 33. In what direction? Am I going left or right? P needs to be smaller than negative 33, so I'm going to the left. So all those numbers need to be smaller. So negative 34 is smaller than a negative 33. Negative 38 is smaller than a negative 33. So I'm in the right direction. I don't know. To me, it looks like it's a little blurry. I don't know how it's looking on your end. Okay, I'm hoping it's turning out okay. Looks a little blurry though. All right, now I have a negative 3f is less than negative 27. This right here is the same thing as negative 3 times f is less than negative 27. Since I'm multiplying, I can divide that out, and dividing, there's my dividing bar, which means it's just going to be right over each other, right? Okay, so here it's a negative 3 over a negative 3. They're going to cancel each other out. Because I divide it, this is going to be a negative. Oh, I'm going to have a negative 27 over a negative 3. Now, I want you to pay close attention because once you divide by a negative number, this symbol right here is going to flip. It's going to go in its opposite. So right now it's less than. Well, this time it's going to be where f is going to be greater than. It's going to flip because I divided by a negative. 27 divided by negative 3 equals a positive 9. The negatives cancel each other when you're dividing by negatives. Negative and a negative. So now, is it going to be an open or closed? Absolutely, it's open because I'm not going to include this 9. So f needs to be greater than 9, which means it can be 9.1, 9.12 on up. Okay, and I hope that you can see it. I'm really concerned about that. I don't like how blurry it is. Maybe it's my screen and it's going to come out okay. All right, now let's look at this one. We have k plus 6 and 2/10 plus, is greater than 5 and 2/10. I'm going to do the same thing. And a matter of fact, I should have boxed in. Remember, that's called my coefficient. I should have boxed that in just to get into that habit. And I'm trying to just get through here. Oh, I saw it spinning. Why was it spinning? So now I'm going to box in just my variable, draw my line, and now I got to get the 6 and 2/10 over to this side here. So if I have a positive 6 and 2/10, I'm going to need a negative 6.2, and now it's going to be a negative 6.2. And now I'm going to bring down my k is going to be greater than, and if you get a little confused, I'm going to put my negative, my larger number on top, my smaller on the bottom. Bring down my decimal. 2 minus 2 equals 0. Negative 6 plus a 5 is equal to 1. So 1 is going to be, oops, it's negative, a negative 1. Because it's just greater than, I do not include my negative 1, so it is an open circle. Now it has to be greater, so I can look, if I put a 0 here, is it larger than a negative 1? Yes, so now I know what direction to go into. If you decided it was going to be left, just put in that number. If I put in negative 2, is a negative 2 larger or greater than a negative 1? No. So always check your work that way. All right, so now this one here, I have my exponent. There are no other numbers that I need to, that I can bring over. So now I can separate this, not my, I said exponent, sorry about that, coefficient. And now I can separate it where I'm going to just find the variable by itself. Because I'm multiplying, and again, it would be 15, negative 15 times x, I will divide negative 15, and I will bring that on this side, negative 15. When I am dividing a negative number, what do I do with my symbol? Absolutely right. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to move my work right over here. These cancel out each other, so now I have an x, which is going to be greater than or equal to, now 15 will go into 75 5 times. So if you're wanting to work that out, you can. is 5 times 15. So 5 times 5 is 25, regroup. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 75. Negative divided by negative will get me a positive. Because it is equal to, I'm going to include my 5. My x needs to be equal to or greater than 5. And now I'm going to go in to the right. All right, moving right along. At any time, remember, pause me, catch up. I want you to understand, and then start again. Because the greatest thing is that you can take it at your own pace. Now I have S minus 4 and 7/10 is greater than 15 and 3/10. I am going to box in my only variable. I do not have a coefficient. I'm going to draw my line, and I need to move my negative 4 and 7/10 over to this opposite side. So I need to add in a 4 and 7/10 so they can cancel out each other. Is going to be less than, and it says a positive 4 and 7/10. I'm going to bring down my S is greater than, and I'm going to add these up. 7 plus 3 is 10, or 7/10 plus 3/10 is 1 whole. Regroup. That's 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 1 more is 10, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So S needs to be greater than 20. I am going to have an open circle because I'm not including 20. And now I know that 21 is greater than 20, so I am moving to the right. All right, is this getting easier for you? Again, this is only one step. Tomorrow we move into 2-step, and then you'll have a little quiz on what we've been doing because we've been doing both last week on computations. The next one is 3 and 8/10. D is less than or equal to negative 19. Okay, so now again, this means that I'm going to multiply. And what is the opposite of multiplication, or the inverse? Remember that vocabulary word. It is division. I'm going to just create a division line, a fraction bar. They're the same. And so I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide it by itself because 3 and 8/10 goes into 3 8/10 one time. So they cancel each other out. Then I'm going to have it bring that over across there. Bring down my D. And this is going to be less than or equal to. All right, so now what are we going to do here? I'm going to end up dividing that out. So 19 divided by 3 and 8/10, right? Okay, so I'm going to show this on paper because I won't have enough room and I don't want to crowd anything out. And I'll just do it on this one right here. And I'll move this right over. So remember we said that this is the numerator and the denominator, which is also your dividend. So if we were to write that out, it'd be 19 divided by 3 and 8/10. Then to do it in long division, I'm going to take my divisor, 3 and 8/10 goes into 19, which is my dividend, to find my quotient. Because I need to move, if I have a decimal here, I got to move it as far to the right as possible. So I can only move it one spot. Well, I need to do the same thing with my dividends. Remember, if I move it in my divisor, I have to do it with my dividend. Because I can't move it over, I'm going to put 0 as my hero, and now I can move it over, and it's going to go into my quotient. So now it's going to look like I have 38 goes into 190. So I'm just going to start in the middle. 38 times 5, how many groups? So it's like, okay, let's see if 5 groups. 5 times 8 equals 40. Regroup. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 more is 19. Yep, so it's exactly 5. So that goes into there. So now D is going to be, and remember I had a negative, so it's going to be a negative 5. I have an equal sign. Let's see if I can get back to that part. So I'm going to close in because I'm including my -5. And I'm going to, it's got to be less than, let me double check. Is -6 smaller than -5? Yes. So I'm going to go to the left direction. Let me move this out just a tad more. Oops, I need a little bit more. Okay. Next, I have W -8 is less than or equal to -26. I'm going to circle or box in. Should have boxed it because that's our habit. My variable, and everything else needs to be moved over to the other side. So now I have a -8. What is the inverse of negative or -8? Very good. It's +8. So these cancel each other out. I'm going to bring my +8 over, bring down my W is less than or equal to. So I have a -26, and 8 gives me what? Very good. Is that 18? That's right, -18. Now I'm going over to my -18 because that's where I'm at. Am I going to include it? Yes. So that becomes a closed circle because it's equal, and it's going to the left because -19 will be smaller than -18. -20 will be smaller than -18. If you're needing to, just double check. You know you're going up. So is 0 larger than -18? Is 1 larger than -18? And you can see that that's the wrong direction. All right, and our final one for tonight is h over -2 5/10 is greater than -4. Okay, well, I'm going to box in. This is my coefficient. I don't have any other numbers to do. Again, this means to divide. So the opposite or the inverse of division is multiplication. So I'm going to have a -2 5/10 over 1. You can cross multiply, but I want you to get in the habit where you multiply straight across, where this makes it -2 5/10 h over -2 5/10 is greater than -4. You can see how these are going to cancel each other out. And this over here is -2 5/10. And what did we say that when we're dividing by a negative number, what happens with this symbol? Right? It gets flipped. So I'm going to move it over here. I'm left with just the letter H. I'm going to flip my symbol. And here I have 2 5/10. Well, -4 over 2 5/10. So I'm going to go ahead and just show the work on there just so that you can see it. I have to know that I'm going to be moving my decimal over, which means I'm going to move it inside. So here I have, and I'm just going to see if I can move that over. This is the -4 divided by -2 5/10. That's what it looks like. So now I'm going to just kind of close that up. Again, if you need to rewind it, you'll be able to see it. I'm going to start my long division. This is negative and negative. So if I divide a negative and negative, it's going to be a positive. Very good. So I need to move my decimal as far as I can to the right. So I'm only going to be able to move it one spot. I'm going to do the same thing here. I have to move it over 1. So now I have 25. How many 25s can go into 40? 1. So now I'm going to subtract out. That makes it 3. I have to regroup it. 10 minus 5 equals 5. 3 minus 2 equals 1. Okay, I still have some. Yes, that is the smallest it is, but I know that I can keep going. I'm going to add another 0. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. All right. I hope you caught my mistake. Did you catch my mistake? I'm going to kind of rewind it because here this was already divided. I needed to multiply and I got myself all confused. So this is not correct. It needs to be -4 times -2 and 5/10. I knew that. You knew that. So if you can find my mistake, when you come into, or not find my mistake, but let me know about my mistake. Come in so that you can get a Jolly Rancher. But you're not going to tell anybody else. This is between us, because I'm going to have to take a look at their work too. But anyway, so it's a -4 times or it's a mint. So it's depending on how much I have left. But come in for a treat during class. -4 times a -0.25. So now I'm going to be multiplying it. That's the same as, oh, I can't believe I did that as many times as I showed this one. We did this one in class together as well. So I have a 2 and 5/10 times 4. Again, I'm going to move my decimal as far out to the right as possible because then I'm going to move it back in. So I moved it one time. 25 times 4 is 100. I'm going to move it back in one spot, and so it becomes 10. So K is going to be less than 10. Oh, that was crazy. Sorry about that. But do you see how easy it is to make mistakes? And you really need to go back and look to really focus on what you have there. So this is circle, open circle on 10. I need to make sure that H is smaller than 10. So I am going to go to the left. And so it can be 9, it could be 8, it could be 7, 6, any of those numbers as long as it's less than 10. All right, you guys have a great evening, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.